welcome back to Extraordinary God, Ordinary People podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening through the month of November. It's been hit or miss, I know, with Zooms, and as you guys can tell, we're not in our podcast studio here in Nashville. We are actually in the Neal's home here in Arizona. So thank you guys so much for hosting. But before I get into it and introduce our guests, I just want to thank you guys so much for just listening this last month. I know it's kind of been a new project, but you guys have just been so faithful in listening. But truly, God has given this platform more than I've ever could have imagined already in this first month. And so thank you guys so much for listening. Now to this episode. Okay, so this episode, I brought in Ike again, if you guys remember him from last week. But I also brought in the Neals. They actually just got married in September, which is so exciting. But Elise has been one of my best friends since 2019. When we,
Something like that.
Yeah, like that. And then Patrick is my fellow Dodger fan. 2025 World Series champions. Let's go.
Let's go.
But before we get into asking about Jesus and what he's done in your life, favorite coffee shop here in Arizona?
Favorite coffee shop? I would have to say, if you're on the East Valley, give Sagebrush a look up. They are fantastic. They do like small batches of coffee. They roast it in small batches, and their coffee bean quality is super good. I also love Peixoto if you haven't been, so that's another one to try. If you're in downtown Phoenix, the vibe is Songbird. So yeah, those are the recs.
You said I could ask you another one.
Yeah.
Okay, ice cream.
Ice cream would have to be, I love Novel ice cream. They have one in Phoenix. You can tell where I've lived by my answers. And then there's one, I think, in Mesa or somewhere as well. And then there's a good ice cream place in Agritopia as well, but I don't know the name of it.
Okay.
But yeah.
It's Salt and Straw.
No, not that one.
Oh, okay.
No, there's one in like the whole, there's like restaurant area, and it's like in a group of restaurants and anything. It's really good.
Patrick, what's your favorite?
I'm also a fan of Peixoto, specifically the one in Gilbert.
Okay.
The vibes there. They have 2 stories. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
The baristas there are awesome. So I highly recommend Peixoto in Gilbert specifically. Ice cream, I have to go back to my old workplace, Soda Jerk. Probably some of the best milkshakes in all the valley. So good. Can confirm.
Also really good escape rooms.
That's true.
Oh.
The Nemesis Club does have good escape rooms. But
That's
the
cool.
milkshakes, I walked away every shift with some sort of ice cream or milkshake. It was not a healthy time.
But a delicious time.
Very delicious.
Very delicious. You have to split it.
You do have to split
Even
it.
as an ice cream fan, you have to split it. It's too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, God has moved here in Phoenix. So for those of you who've listened, no, I haven't told my story just yet. I moved to Arizona in 2018, and we started going to Antioch Community Church together, and that's where they still go. But before we get all into Antioch, let's start back in your childhood. Do you want to tell us about little Ellie?
Little Ellie? Well, so there's the joke with that name too, because so my name's Elise, if you didn't catch it at the beginning, but my parents named me Elise because they wanted to call me Ellie, but little Ellie didn't want to be called Ellie. She didn't understand what nicknames were, and she thought that her parents were just getting them wrong. And so one day, I was just like, hey guys, it's not Ellie, it's Elise. Like, my name is Elise, get it right. And so I was never Ellie again, but I'm trying to bring it back. So those of you that know me, that are listening to this podcast, bring it back, y'all. We can do it.
Patrick, how do you feel about it?
I think it's a cute nickname. I've been calling her that for a while.
Yeah, he's really the main person that calls me Ellie. That and my baristas, because I tell them that's my name.
And the Canes.
And the Canes worker last night.
See, exactly. You're getting.
That's because people constantly misspell Elise. So
Yeah, it's
That's
a,
weird,
it's
'cause
a
that's a
good
common name.
rebrand, though.
Yeah, but sometimes with a Y, sometimes with an A, sometimes with the A at the end.
Or just ELLE, which is really just L.
Sounds like Ashley trying to spell.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
So
But
tough.
Patrick, how was your childhood?
Good. I grew up in a Christian home. I'm from California. So born and raised in a little small town called Visalia in the middle of California. We affectionately call it the armpit of California because it smells because there's a lot of cows and no one wants to go there.
Okay.
So, but grew
You're
up
really selling it.
the only thing we have going for us is the national parks.
You should not be on the tourism board, probably.
Visalia's whole thing is that they're called the gateway to the Sequoias. That's the whole thing about the city is that you have to drive through it to get to Sequoia National Park. So that
Which
tells
means
you
there's
anything.
nothing redeemable about it. It just gets you where you want to go.
That's not true. There's some great coffee shops and great people.
Component Coffee, if you're ever there, is a really good coffee place.
It's true. And they love Jesus. So
yeah.
it's a big one. Grew up, 2 older sisters. Both my parents are teachers, still teaching to this day. And so I grew up in a really loving household. Learned a lot from my family, learned a lot from coaching. My dad's a big coach, so that really influenced my life growing up. And so really, really healthy lifestyle growing up.
I love that.
Yeah. And then for me, I was born here in Arizona, Chandler baby. But then I moved around Oregon for 1 year and then finished out high school in Connecticut. So if you ask me where I'm from, it's Arizona or Connecticut, depending on the day.
Depending on the day. What's today?
We're feeling Arizona.
We're feeling Arizona today? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
So I know why you kind of moved back.
Yeah.
But Patrick, why did you move to Arizona and what brought you here?
So I moved out here to go to college. I went to good old Grand Canyon University. Lopes up. So my sister had come to GCU back in 2013, 2014. It was still a relatively small school. It was kind of on my radar, but I was like, I don't really want to go to Arizona. I want to go to school in California. But as I got to my senior year, I'm like, man, the prospect of being away from home is really nice. Plus, I got to live with my best friend my freshman year. On top of that, my senior year kind of started a revival in my walk with Jesus. I had a really sweet Bible teacher who kind of discipled me on my way out of high school. And that kind of set me up of like, I really want a Christian education. I want to make sure that Jesus is part of my everyday life. And I had no idea what that was going to mean until I got to college. But yeah, that's why I came out was college. And then I fell in love with the community here. I fell in love with what God was doing here. And I've stayed ever since 2017. So
That's amazing. Elise?
Yeah, so obviously I said I finished high school in Connecticut. The bigger picture story for that was that my family was transitioning back to Arizona because my dad got a job out here, which was definitely an answered prayer. And I honestly think that God used it to bring me closer to him, because the way that it ended up happening is that I finished high school when it would have been too awkward to go to college because I was too young. And so I basically took a gap year, and my parents and I, our agreement was that if I finished school early, moved out to Arizona, they would help support me do something for my gap year. So I ended up doing a discipleship school through Youth with a Mission, which is an international missions organization. And really, that was where my faith with Jesus really took off. I also grew up in a Christian home, and I was actually baptized when I was 12. I knew that I loved Jesus. He was good, and he was everything that I wanted, but I didn't know what it actually meant to follow him. And so I would say, even through the end of high school, it was it was really sweet times with God, actually, just meeting with him in my bedroom and meeting him in my places of anxiety and fear and hurt. But I didn't know what it meant to follow him until I was learning more about faith during that time in YWAM. And so during that time, I learned what it means to repent of the sins in your life and actually turn towards Jesus, and just truly understanding and accepting what it means, what the grace of the blood of Jesus means, and the fact that he died on the cross for us, and actually just receiving that and not letting it be just in my head, but also in my heart and then in my actions. And so I would say that time was the time where I was able to just like really just run after Jesus. And so since then, it's been just a whole adventure.
Would you say that's when missions kind of was placed on your heart, or would you say that was kind of always there since you were little?
No, I would definitely say that's when I fell in love with the concept of missions. Obviously, the context for the school is you're with people that do missions all the time, and so it's a really unique perspective. But like, I think that it wasn't really that. It was really God that just stirred my heart for sharing Him with people. The context that I didn't really get into was, so I shared that I grew up in Connecticut. The other context for that is I grew up in a town where there's a school shooting. And so that was something that I really had to wrestle with God about. And for me, what that meant is going to Him and bringing Him my hurts and just listening to what He had to say. There was this one moment where I was in a park and I was like, God, like, I need to work this out with you. Like, this happened, but you say that you're good. So like, what gives? Like, what am I missing? Like, do you care? Mm-hmm. And it was so clear. He was just like, Elise, like, I care more than you could even know. Mm-hmm. Like, as much as you care, like, I care infinitely more. And I think since then He's marked on my heart just like the love that He has for each person, which is really for me the foundation of missions, because you can get all hyped about like what it means to go and share your faith and share the gospel and all of these things, but like if you miss the love that He has for the person in front of you, you're getting it all wrong. And so I think that was really where He just I don't know, He woke something up in my heart of like, okay, like, we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't. And so like, let's share the good news that God has for us with the person in front of us who may be hurting, who may be struggling, and they just don't know what they don't know. And so I think the context that I was living in at that time really emphasized that lesson that God was teaching me. And so from there, it's been learning what it looks like to share Jesus on the daily. That's, an ever-changing lesson, learning more every day.
What a good word.
That is really good.
Good word.
Was GCU where you found missions, or was that something that you came to Arizona knowing that you wanted to do?
I did not experience a heart for missions until 2021.
Okay.
So the church we go to, Antioch Community Church, which is also where I work as the accountant, the finance kind of guy, we do this thing called discipleship school, much like YWAM, but local at the church instead of going to like a different country to do it. So I graduated in 2020. Wonderful time to graduate.
Wonderful.
Great time. Nothing happened then.
So many jobs open
10 out of 10.
and everything.
So many jobs. So when COVID hit in March, I stayed on campus at GCU. A lot of people moved away. A lot of just loneliness in my apartment. I was the only one in my apartment. Not fun. But I'm getting closer to graduation, and the guy who is basically directing the next discipleship school year is like, hey, I want you to consider applying. Like, I think you would enjoy it. I'm like, I appreciate it. I have a job at a bank lined up after this. Like, I can do it next year. Like, it was kind of the idea of like, I can do it next year. I don't have to worry about it. I have loans to stuff and pay and everything. All the practical things of in my life. And so we get to April. I graduate. Everything's great. The early admission for the discipleship school closes, and I'm like, okay, no worries. I feel okay about it. I go home to visit family, and I'm driving back to Arizona after visiting, and the guy who's directing D school is like, hey, we're leaving early admissions open. If you still want a discount, apply right now. And I felt like in that moment, God was like, you need to apply. And I was like, what? No, you didn't say that. I'm imagining that.
Was that you?
God, God, that wasn't you.
That was my head.
That was in my I have a
Just
job.
passing thought,
I have a
really.
job. I have training starting soon. Like, it's fine. It's fine. But this feeling in my heart of like, I need to sit down and talk to God about this would not go away. So I climbed halfway up a mountain in the middle of Arizona, and I sat down on a rock and opened up my Bible and said, God, I'm not moving till you speak. And it was in that moment he was like, apply for the D school. Don't do this job. And so, turning point, I do the D school. It's great. Somehow, by the grace of God, we go to Indonesia for a month at the end of this D school, and we're serving the local church there. We're preaching the gospel, and COVID is still a very real thing. But somehow we're in this other country. Like, that was the first like spark of like, wow, like maybe I'm made for this. Like maybe this is something I could do not just in Indonesia. I could do it at home. But at the end of the school, there's opportunities to intern for the church. And I was thinking about it. I wasn't sure about it. I'm like, oh, I could do this. And again, I felt God spoke very clearly. I want you to intern for the missions part of ministry. And I'm like, I've never once considered missions in my life, never considered it. But I stepped in, I applied, they said yes. And I learned how to, once I stepped into the role, taking care of missionaries from a financial standpoint, which was really fun. And that's a whole other story. But every year, our church does something called World Mandate. It is a missions conference, kind of like, what are we really about? How do we keep the mission of God in front of us for our city, for our nation, for the nations of the world? And in 2023, I'm involved with kids ministry, so I was helping do stuff. And so I had happened to take a step away from kids ministry and step into a World Mandate. And it was not even 5 minutes in. They're praying for a nation. I have no idea what's going on. I step in, and I very clearly hear God say, hey, Europe needs fathers. And it stopped me dead in my tracks as someone who has a father heart, who cares about people, who is learning how to father people in my life because that's how God made me. Very clearly, before Elise got into my life and we even started talking about missions, very clearly God was like, hey, speaking of Europe needs fathers, this place is broken and it needs people like you. And so since then, I've been leaning into, okay, I can't really focus on Europe right now because I have a job here, and very clearly I'm supposed to be here. I can work on the father part of the word. What does it mean to father people? What does it mean to love people? But since then, I have not stopped thinking about Europe. I have not stopped thinking about when we went to France together, we've been to Liverpool together, and so just Europe needs fathers. And so just holding that word in my heart of, I don't even know what that fully means yet, and that's okay. But that has kind of like been a flame that's been stoked in my heart, and it's just been this journey of, I didn't know I was made for missions, and here we are now, and it's part of my job and part of my heart's desire. So
we were talking at our dinner party at our church in Nashville. They're like, some of the things that you never even think of that are going to be put on your heart, you know, are from God, because this is something that you never thought your life would go that way.
yeah, 100%.
Yes.
It's a simple yes, but also at the same time you're like, are you sure? Like you said, like, are you positive? Like,
I don't know if you said that.
I don't know. I kind of like this bank job over here, and I can kind of just
Feels
sit.
pretty safe.
Yeah.
Feels pretty comfortable.
But God never asks us to do the safe thing. He
No.
always asks us to just obey, and He does the rest for us. But now into your guys' story.
Yeah.
So I know that you kind of touched on before even Elise came into your life a heart for missions, but since I've known both of you guys, I've seen that both evident in just your dating, your engagement, and now marriage life. Can you guys tell me a little bit about your guys' story and how you guys met?
You are welcome to share.
I'm welcome to share. It's because she doesn't want to be embarrassed.
It's okay. I was called out at our wedding. There's nothing else to
There's
be
nothing
embarrassed.
else.
There's
Nothing else. So we met through mutual friends, and it was very clear the attraction was there for the both of us, even if it took a while to pull the trigger on asking her out on a date. But very clearly, we started dating, we get into this relationship, and we both are wanting to go to France, a little short-term mission trip that our church is doing. And so that was kind of the first like experience we had together, doing missions together. And I don't know, it was just a really sweet, I will always remember that short-term trip, the short-term team in France. They're awesome. One of our friends is on that team. But I don't know, just sharing the gospel with someone you love is a very special thing. Mm-hmm. And it's something I'm not going to forget, because now in our day-to-day walk, like we spend a time every night before we go to bed. We pray for the people that have asked us to pray for them. We pray for the city of Chandler. We pray for our apartment complex. because we know that as much as we want to hold missions in our heart and we want to do missions, we want to love the people in front of us, if we're not praying, nothing's going to happen without the Spirit of God. And so I think that's something I have seen over the course of our relationship is like the power of prayer. When we are holding people in our heart to pray for them, to pray for their healing, pray for their salvation, how much more love is going to pour out of us because we've been pouring time into praying for them in the secret place. So much more love for her coworkers, for our friends that don't know Jesus, for even this apartment complex. Like God, give us divine encounters. Like, would we have encounters with people? And just yesterday, I was stopped by 2 of our neighbors and like, hey, do you want to go to the dog park? All of our dogs are out. And as someone who was tired and so sleepy, I was like, you know what? Yes, I'm going to do that because I know it's important. We've been praying for these people to connect with them. So why would I not take advantage of what we've been praying for? Yeah. So I feel like the power of prayer has been really significant in our relationship.
Yeah, I think a thought that was coming to mind when you were talking about going to France together to share Jesus. I always, like, every time I will step out in like a missional or evangelistic context, and then I'll have like a period of time where I like am more focused on day-to-day things, and then I'll go back into a context that's more focused on sharing the gospel. Every single time I walk away with a sense of like, this is what I was made for. And it's crazy because I'm like, it's not just me. Obviously we're all made for this. And so it's one of those things that I just get reminded of every time because we are made to love Christ. And so as part of like loving the people in our lives and loving God, it's like a natural overflow to share who he is. And share, like, for example, like I love Patrick so dearly, and so at work I'm like, Patrick this, Patrick that, and all these things. And I think sharing about God is the same way, where like to share about the God that we love brings us joy in our hearts. And so every time I like have a time of like sharing Jesus with people, I have to remind myself, Elise, like, don't forget this, because this is what you're made for. This is what brings you life and what brings you joy. And I think that in the context of sharing Jesus with people on the streets of Paris with Patrick, it's really sweet to do that with the person that you love, because you see them come alive as well. And so I think that was a really special time. Yeah, that was... I'm trying to think what else was on my brain, but that was really just pressing in there.
Well, I think it's cool too. You get to see each other's giftings.
Yeah.
Like Elise is very much someone who's like the gospel, preach the gospel. Like I remember, I remember one conversation. Like she will not say this, but she's really good at French. She knows the language well enough to have a conversation with someone, even if it's a little bit. Oh my gosh, you speak French. But we were out in this public garden, and we came across this older man. We felt like we should go talk to him. Didn't speak a lick of English. Elise had a full-on conversation and was comprehensive and coherent in sharing the gospel, hearing that this guy fears death. So we talked about how Jesus is like a God of life. He cares about us. And I'm just sitting there, I'm like nodding, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening, but Elise is fully alive in her gifting as someone who preaches the gospel. And vice versa, she has watched me sit with people and cry with people and like hurt with people, because that's one of my giftings, of just being with people through emotional turmoil and pain. And like, I mean, she can speak that if she wants to, but like getting to see whoever you're sharing the gospel with, whether it's your partner or maybe it's a friend or a life group, getting to see each other's giftings and really encourage them of like, hey, keep doing that. Like with her of like, keep speaking French, like keep doing it. Like she's like, I don't know if I fully understood. I'm like, you just preached the gospel to a man in French that didn't speak a lick of English, and he understood you. That's huge. So I think that's another cool part of it as well, that's is amazing. Seeing each other's giftings and really pushing each other into those giftings.
Do you have anything?
About?
Do you want to add or?
No, I think that's really cool.
I will say, like, we're talking about that in like the context of we're in a relationship, we're married now, but I think that it applies to your brothers and sisters in Christ, like the people that you're walking with side by side in the context of like a Bible study or a small group, or just like your Christian friend, like that is one way that we can spur one another on, as whatever book of the Bible talks about that. Like we can see the giftings in the people around us and be like, hey, like I can tell that you are made for that. And so like keep on going. Yeah.
Has there been any like gifts or anything that surprised you about each other since you got married that you realized that you've been able to bring out of each other?
Oh man, yes. I knew that.
Patrick's like, yeah.
I think two things I knew about Elise but didn't realize it until we started living life together is her gift for hospitality and hosting people, and her desire to do it all the more. And also just the fact that she's so generous with money, with time, with her, just herself. She's just generous. And I'm like, I don't understand how you do that. And I want to be more generous like you, but I don't get it.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. I think it's been such a sweet, I don't know if lesson is the right word, but like Patrick is very good about, I don't know if the word is stewardship, but like he's very good at stewarding his days and his time, and like he's very intentional. And I think that one of the downsides with the way that I orient my life is that there's not a lot of buffer, and I don't always finish things fully, and I just move on, and then I get overwhelmed when things pile up. And Patrick is laughing because he's dealing with it now. But I think that it's been a sweet lesson to like see the ways that like being more intentional on the daily with how he stewards his time and his attention to friends and all these things. Like it does create that buffer. And so it's been a sweet, like, it's rubbing off on me and I'm receiving it. And he's been very kind to pick up after some of my messes, and physically and metaphorically. And so I'm really appreciative of that, because I think it makes the space in my brain for even just being like more intentional with like how I choose to spend my time. And like if my brain isn't on fire with all the things going on, then I can like pursue different, more exciting things that I want to pursue. So it's been just like even like a sweet lesson in that sense. So
That's so cute. I know you said last week, you were like, marriage is super cool because you're like, you have two relationships with God, two hearts, two everything, all becoming one. And it's really crazy and it's really chaotic sometimes, but it's also so beautiful at the same time too.
Yes. Yes, agreed.
But as a couple now, is there, you don't have to answer super deep into this, what does the future hold for possibly for the Neals in missions? And what can you share? I don't want to pry anything that you guys don't want to.
It's a very natural question given everything we've talked about. I think the first thing that I'll say is that I think Patrick was kind of like leaning into this a little bit when he was talking about prayer, and just like starting in a place of prayer, but also I think part of that conversation is like, we talk about sharing your faith here, there, and everywhere, right? Like, could be Chandler, could be some other state, could be some other country, who knows? But like, if I can't do that here, then I won't be able to do that there. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's honestly just something that, it's a lifelong lesson. Like, we're never going to be perfect at anything, but also that includes like how we share our faith and what that looks like. But I think that has been a lesson over the past however many years of like, how can I share my faith with the person in front of me in a way that is loving and kind and patient, and also I don't know the word I'm looking for, but like knowing the importance of it. with the urgency, I guess,
Yeah.
is the word I'm looking for. And so I think that we're still in a place of learning that. And for me right now, I just got a new job. So we didn't really touch on this at all so far this episode, but I, as part of wanting to share my faith with people, I became a nurse. Natural progression. And for me, I was in the hospital for 2 years, doing like normal, like inpatient, post-surgical care. And then I transitioned recently to, like a research role. And that basically means I'm getting, cancer patients onto trial to try new, drugs that are not yet FDA approved. And I don't need to get into the details of that, but my point is that I am really thankful to Jesus for this opportunity, because the patients that I'm working with are patients that are really looking for really anything, any hope, anything that might give them more time, more energy, anything. And so the other day I was praying, and I feel like I'm trying to remember the specific phrasing, but I feel like God just said something about like, Elise, like, you're in the business of giving people hope. And that's a very fresh word, so I'm trying to like have it simmer and figure out what's at the root of it, But I think that applies no matter where I'm at, like in my role, I'm giving people options that they didn't have before. And in my faith, I'm pointing people to Jesus, who is the founder and the perfecter of our faith, and the one that gives us hope. And so I think that no matter what, my desire is to, just give people hope for a future. And I think right now we're in the process of praying about where that looks like, what that looks like. And obviously we've talked about Europe quite a bit, even on this episode. So that's a place that's on our heart. And we've got friends that are praying about that as well. And so we're really just trying our best to be patient and allow the Lord to speak what he wants to speak, and not jump in too quickly, but be wise. But we're very excited.
And I think 2 verses to kind of characterize kind of our last few months of getting into marriage and then figuring out who are the Neals. One of them is Jeremiah 29:7, which the context is this is a letter to the exiles in Babylon. And this is God telling them, seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will find your welfare. And so I think as we are called to this hospital, this outpatient therapy, even though I work for a church and all my coworkers are Jesus, I live in an apartment complex. How can I love this apartment complex? Next week, I'm helping host a game night for the apartment complex to gather people, because that's what I can do. That's how I can seek the welfare of the place that I'm in. I think it's important to be like, okay, where is the Lord calling me to? How can I seek the welfare of my job or my church or my fill in the blank, whatever it is. But the other verse is Isaiah 61. And if you recognize Isaiah 61, it's the one that Jesus quotes when he starts his ministry of the Spirit of the Lord is upon us to bring good news to the poor and proclaim liberty to the captives. And that's what we feel like our family unit is about, that's what we're here for. The Spirit of God is upon us to bring good news to the poor, to proclaim liberty to those who are captive, to bring hope to people that don't have hope. And so we're really leaning into those places as we desire to church plant. So.
Yeah, Neal. So my last question is anyone who possibly has a heart for missions or doesn't even know what that would even look like in their lives, what are some practical things that you could just kind of give them to do? From prayer to just learning more about different places, what would you guys kind of say?
I would personally say, and your answer might be totally wildly different, but find like-hearted people. We've kind of like alluded to the church that we have here, Antioch Community Church, but I'm really grateful for the people that we walk with in that community, because everyone there also desires our neighborhood, our city, our state, our nation to know Jesus. And so I think it's really hard to do that by yourself.
Yeah.
And so I would say that if you don't have community, then you should find a community who you love and they love you, but they also are focused outward,
Yeah.
is I think the best way to say it. Not just focused on what can Christ do for me, but what can Christ do for the people around us.
Yeah.
And I think that in that place, you'll find a lot of support. And usually if people think similarly, there'll be practicals as well for you to jump in on and get experience sharing your faith and go to different places and get different places on your heart and all of the things that go alongside of it.
Yeah, totally. Pray. I've mentioned prayer a lot. Whatever your favorite place is, whether it's a coffee shop, a board game shop, maybe it's a bar,
mountain,
a mountain, a park,
I don't know.
your city. Like, start praying specific prayers for your city. God, would you encounter people in this city? Would you give me a divine encounter today that I might be able to tell someone that you love them? Or so not only pray for the things that you love, whether it's your city or maybe your church or whatever it is, but also ask God, hey, I want to be part of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. The more that I have found in the last 5 years of walking with God, that my prayers have changed to, God, would you just use me, to now it's, God, can I be part of what you're doing? It, one, has changed my perspective because God doesn't use us. He's not a mean person. He invites us to be part of what he's doing. And two, he longs for us to be part of what he's doing. He's already moving in the earth. He's already moving in your city. He's already moving in your state, in your family home. He's already doing it, whether you can see it or not. Have you asked him to be part of it yet? Wow. And I think that has been the change for me, because now it's like, God, can I be part of what you're doing here at Ventura or at Antioch or at my favorite board game shop? And I find that I have conversations with people about life. Life is really hard. People are willing to talk about it if you're willing to listen. Mm-hmm. But you have to ask God to be a part of it, because he's not going to pull you into something that you don't want to be a part of.
Mm-hmm. My mind is blown. I'm like a 3-year-old right now, like, my mind is blown. I remember the first time, I think it was your freshman year, and we were walking back from campus, back to Roosevelt Point, because it was my sophomore year. Was I muted?
No, just make sure you're
Oh, sorry. And a homeless man stopped us.
Was that when I was carrying your vacuum?
Yes. And I was so scared. And Elise was just like, hi, my name's Elise. Like, what's your name? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be friends with her.
Yeah.
And
I still have that vacuum.
you stole my vacuum with Jerry.
Yeah.
Everyone just takes my vacuum.
To be fair, I tried to give it back to you.
I know,
said
and
no.
I said no. But I was just like, yeah, like, there is a calling on her life just to be able, like, if you can just stop and talk to anyone, just the way that your presence and your kindness, it's such an evident way of being able to just have a loving conversation with anyone that you meet.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
That was funny. That was a funny moment.
That was a funny moment. I was like, internally, like, I've never lived in a city. Like, I don't know.
Die.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know who this is. But Elise is talking to them, and we have a vacuum for protection if anything does happen. Like, we're okay. We're okay.
We're gonna be fine.
We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.
And we were just fine.
We were just fine.
Sorry, parents, if you're listening to this. I did make a habit of talking to random people on the street. I still do, but I'm a bit more careful about it now.
Sorry, guys. But thank you guys so much for coming on. Is there anything that you guys would like to last minute share before? No. No?
No.
I would go with no.
I think that I don't have any more thoughts.
No.
No.
More thoughts.
Your dog's super cute.
My dog is very super cute.
She is currently asleep in her crate.
Oh, Miss Sadie Mae.
Yes.
But thank you guys so much for coming onto this podcast.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ike, for being here as well. For those of you who kind of listened last week, I kind of alluded also on Instagram that this week and the week before Thanksgiving, I wanted to start a food drive and care packages for the homeless. So if you guys have not donated, there is a link in the bio on the Instagram to be able just to help us. And if you're in Nashville and want to help us pack these and deliver them to the homeless community, please let me know. I would love to partner with you guys on those as well. But thank you guys again for coming on, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.
Bye.